What is up, guys? MiniBean75 here, and today I'm going to show you guys my brand new build in Minecraft. As you guys can see, I built the Pyramids of Egypt. I tried to go through and make it as close and as perfect as I possibly could, and I'm going to show you guys a whole tour, but I do want to just make a quick disclaimer for all of the Egyptian experts and so-called experts. I am not an expert. I am a guy who makes videos on the internet, and I do some building in Minecraft. I think it's really fun, and I try my best to do recreations of certain things, and this is my recreation of this. I may say something that's incorrect. I may show something that's incorrect or doesn't look the way some people have said or the way you may think it looks. And I'm just making this disclaimer now. Like I said, I'm not an expert, and I just don't need a bunch of comments of people trying to tell me that I don't know what I'm talking about, because I really don't. I just wanted to try to make this thing, I wanted to build this thing and make it look as cool as possible. So with that being said, guys, let's take a look at the pyramids. Alright, so as you guys can see, for everything that I've got here to show you guys today, we've got all three of the main pyramids. The Great Pyramid, which was built for the Pharaoh Khufu. The Middle Pyramid, which was built for, I believe, his son, the Pharaoh Khafre. And then we've got the smaller pyramid back there, and that was built for the Pharaoh Menkaure. So basically, those are going to be the three main pyramids, and then I'll just kind of go through the different things. There's different temples and stuff that I did. I didn't do all of the tombs, because a majority of these smaller ones down here, these are all going to have underground tombs, and then in all the other pyramids, there's going to actually be tombs too. The only tomb I put in, which I will show you, I did put the tomb of Khufu and everything, all that's inside of the Great Pyramid. So let's start down here by the Nile River. First off, that's what this river is, guys. The Nile River, basically, in ancient Egypt, was the sole reason why they actually even were able to survive. Because obviously, without a large amount of fresh water, there's no way that they could do anything. So I wanted to put the Nile in to try to give it that realistic look. And if we first pop down here, here's going to be the first temple. I'm also going to say, guys, I don't remember the names of all the temples. It's a lot. I know that this one has to do with Khufu, so that's what we're just going to say. It's a temple for Khufu. An expert will probably tell me in the comments what it's called, but let's be honest, guys, there is so much to remember with this stuff. Yeah, it's just impossible. But I pretty much went through, and I will put this map up for download, so anybody wants to go through and explore it, definitely feel free to download it and go do that. I don't know the exact specifics for a lot of these areas. I kind of just want to go through and show you guys the different temples. So here's the first one here. I just love the way the Egyptians, their architecture with how they had to use pillars and stuff in certain ways. And then here, there's a bunch of different statues, obviously throughout the different temples. So here's one of the statues I did there. And then here, just to show you guys one of the cost walks, I'm just going to kind of go through it quick and show you guys how I did it. For the most part, these cost walks, I believe, were made from like limestone, which is very similar to what the pyramids were made of. And I just went through and I added in just some pillars with some hieroglyphics on it just to make it look cooler. And these cost walks, there's a lot of speculation on what these are actually used for. There's some speculation that they actually use these. They use these for ceremonial purposes when specific people passed away. And then there's some people who believe they actually use these. They actually filled these with water. And they used them with a buoy system, and actually that's how they were able to transport the blocks of the pyramids to each of the individual pyramids by using these cost walks. So unfortunately, none of us are ever actually going to know. People will make theories, but yeah. Here is going to be our next temple, as we kind of got a glimpse of here. Basically, we walk in, there's going to be more statues, stuff like this, another statue back in here. And if we pop over here, this actually has a nice little stairwell that will take us up to the top. Looks kind of cool, gives you a better view of the Giza Plateau, and then you can see the, kind of look down into the temple as well. And here is going to be the Great Pyramid of Giza. This pyramid was completed over 4,500 years ago, anywhere between 4,600 and 4,500 years ago. This thing has stood longer and is the longest standing, man-made object, I think, ever. But for like thousands of years, guys, this was the tallest thing humans had ever built. And to this day, we still don't know how they did it. That is why this thing is so absolutely amazing. If I remember right, it stands like 147 meters tall, and it's like 200 and something meters on each side. This thing is absolutely massive. So to show you guys, I want to show you guys the tomb of Khufu. But before I do that, guys, I do want to make one other slight disclaimer because I like to call myself out when I mess up. I didn't realize this till last night, and it doesn't make any difference to the outside, but I still wanted to do it. When I built the tomb, for some reason, just me, I thought it made sense that the tomb entrance would be on the same direction as the crosswalk and everything else. Apparently not. Apparently the tomb entrance is actually on this side. It faces north. And that's one thing I didn't notice either, is I think if I would have ever done this again, which I obviously won't, I think it would have been cool to actually have this build facing the right direction so the sun comes up in the right direction. Nonetheless, I'm going to try to quit rambling here. Let's take a look at the tomb. Okay, so we head down here into the tomb. Now, this actually goes a few different ways. Down here, I'm just going to show you first. This is an underground chamber. Now, this does look a little bit different, but for the sake of Minecraft, and because I didn't really put in any other tombs, I thought this one would be cool just to fill it with treasure. So, that's what I did. We've got some gold stacked up there. We've got some different jewels and whatnot here. And I was like, you know what? I might as well do something to make that look cool. In reality, there's not much down there. And then if we pop back up here, and here I debated on putting in some, pistons and stuff like that, and I just decided against it. Now, if we go up to this section, this here is actually going to take you to the Queen's chamber. And when we go in through here, this is going to be where the Queen would be buried in her sarcophagus. And then they've basically just got like a nice little tomb just built right into the pyramid. And if we go back out and we go up, this is going to take you to the king's tomb. Now, this room's a big deal because there's a speculation that this room wasn't made to look nice or anything. I obviously made it look a little bit cooler because I think, it's got to look pretty. But apparently there's actually speculation that they actually used this to actually build the pyramids. And they actually used this area for like counterweights and whatnot so they could move the blocks up. And if we go in here, and this looks different because the king's tomb was actually made of granite. Because from what I remember, the Egyptians, granite's like a ridiculously hard mineral. So at that time, they basically thought like if they went through and, surrounded his tomb in granite, it was basically going to keep him safer in the afterlife, I believe. And there's a big thing with this too, which I didn't put it in just because you can't really see it. But this tomb itself actually has like a stack of it's like 6 levels of huge granite blocks that are all stacked up, and then at the very top there's like these huge blocks of something, and basically like it's all set up perfectly to ensure that this doesn't cave in, because over top of this point in the real pyramid, I mean, there are like hundreds of thousands of tons of blocks sitting right above. It's absolutely amazing. All right, so now let's head back outside of the pyramid. Okay, and now that we've got that secret door shut back up, we'll just take a quick look again. These are just more temples, like I said. We've got a few smaller pyramids here. The pyramids, from what I understand, any of the other smaller pyramids were all built basically as burial sites for just other members of the royal family. And then if we go back here, we've got some more tombs here, and a whole nother set of tombs all back here. And then if you look back behind the Pyramid of Khafre there's another strip, I believe, that are all tombs. I really couldn't find a whole lot of information about that part. And we're going to fly way back over here to the other side so that we can take a look at the Great Sphinx of Egypt. Now, this is a very, very, obviously an unbelievable just piece of work. And I know I've seen speculation that there's people saying that they actually think this thing's older than it really is. But a lot of people, pretty much the common belief anymore is that the Egyptians built this around the same time that they built the pyramids. But regardless, this thing is awesome. I love how it turned out in-game. This one, I will admit, along with parts of the Great Pyramid, the texture pack I'm using here is the Minecraft Egyptian texture pack, and they had a mashup map when this first came out. So I did actually use that map for a couple ideas, specifically for the Sphinx, and then parts of the King's Tomb in the Great Pyramid. Mainly that the long area that I talked to you about, where we went up to the King's Tomb, and I mentioned about the counterweight area. I used their ideas for parts of that, but for the most part, everything that I did is just kind of what I decided to go with. But I wanted to do something for the Sphinx because I really wanted to make it look good. And I've gotten better at Minecraft, but I haven't gotten myself to where I've thought, or where I want to be. But using this, and the one in their map was bigger, so I had to kind of change things and make it a little smaller. But I really think this thing turned out awesome. I really hope you guys like it. And if we look down here, we've got a couple different temples. This small temple is actually just going to be the temple for the Sphinx. And if we just go through here, just pretty similar, for Minecraft's sake, it's a lot of statues, it's a lot of pillars. But for the Egyptians, obviously it's unbelievable. And then if we move into this one, this is going to be one of the temples for that was made for the Khafre pyramid. And if we go through here, we've just got different areas. I tried to go through and follow them as close as possible, like I said. More or less, guys, when I go through some of these, I'm just going to kind of ramble and walk around through them and kind of let you guys see it. And then here takes us to another causeway. But since we went up the one and they all pretty much look the same, we're not going to go up that one. We're just going to go back outside and fly up. I like to give you guys different views of stuff. And then you can really, get to see everything. And we might as well take a look at these. Here's another set of tombs in this area. The one thing I did find out is the reason why this area down here is so much lower is this is actually where they had to dig parts of this area out for the pyramid for Khafre, which I find super cool. I didn't find it cool when I started building this, and anybody who sees the time lapse of this on Patreon will get to see it. When I started this on flat ground. And I very quickly realized that the pyramids were not built on flat ground. They were to an extent. They're on the Giza Plateau, but pretty much anything extra I didn't realize was not built on flat ground. So I had to terraform all of this, guys. That's why it took me I've spent over a month on this build. Anyway, I'm rambling. Let's keep going. Here we've got another temple here. And I can jump. I'll just drop right down in. Here's going to be the main temple. Up at the top for Khufu. I believe in here is more or less just different. Oh yeah, we got some different statues in here. If we go back out to this area, I love this temple just because red's my favorite color, and I love black, and it's kind of got that blackened roof. And then obviously we've got the red in here, and ooh man, I think it looks slick. And then back here, I don't believe there's really anything back here. And some of this was hard because I couldn't find 3D models of this temple specifically. I could see the center area, but I couldn't see anything through this hallway or pretty much anything after like this point. I went and looked at some satellite images of how the pyramids look now, and I was kind of able to distinguish how the hallways and stuff would have looked, but I couldn't tell you how they had it looking inside. And then we'll just get a close-up look here of the pyramid for Khafre. When it was done, it was very similar. They had the gold top on top. There is speculation that his did have some granite in certain places, maybe a small strip along the bottom. For a lot for what I could find, it's pretty speculative, who had granite, whatnot. The one I know for sure is this one. This pyramid over here, for Menkaura. Sorry, that one messes me up a lot. This one for sure had granite. But before we look at that, we're going to warp back down here to take a look at the temple over here. All right, and over here we've got the temples that will lead up to the Pyramid of Menkaura. One area I did just want to take a look at for over here is just this big pool, basically. As you guys can see, this is where they moved the Nile River up so that they could use its water for just bringing stuff over to these temples and whatnot. But I just find that super cool that they literally moved the Nile. They didn't move it completely. They veered it off obviously down there, and it kind of veered back into it. But yeah, I find that so crazy. This dynasty was so nuts. They just moved an entire goddamn river, a huge river, just so that they could build their pyramids. And the pyramids are I love the Egyptians, man. So many mysteries. It's unreal. Anyway, So if we go into this temple down here, this one is different, and it's weird. Like, this one has wood in it, which is like a thing that in Egypt was like not a thing, because wood was like very, very, like, wood meant more than a lot of stuff because it was very rare. Like, I mean, even just in the river, like, I got palm trees and stuff down here. That might be more palm trees than what were actually there. I don't know. But yeah, like, wood was very important. So even just seeing exposed wood anywhere, honestly, like, left, I find to be wild. But yeah, so we can walk into this temple here. Here we on this side, I made some different statues because these were actually white rather than black. So I just wanted to make them look a little different. Then in here, this one actually had one black statue, but due to the fact that my build had to be too wide in the center, I ended up just putting two in there. It still looks good. Is there anything back here? A lot of these are just, I think, yeah, like in my 3D models, they were all blank. I don't know if they were for storage or what. But yeah, so these are all blank. If we come back up to the front, there is a door on the left side, and this goes all the way back and around to take you up to the very last temple and to the last pyramid through that crosswalk. But, like I said again, because the crosswalk looks the same as the first one, this one looks a little better just because it's completely straight rather than being diagonal. But yeah, so that'll take you up there. This area over here, I found very little information on. I just assume it was more other burial sites would be my guess from what I could see from 3D models. They had like a smaller temple back here, and then all these little smaller ones that looked like they had multiple doors in them. So I pretty much just assume these are just other burial sites. Because at the end of the day, guys, that's what the Egyptians used the Giza Plateau for. It's a burial site. It's where they send all of their people and royal people who passed away to the afterlife. And if we keep moving on up here, let's just go up to the causeway so we can take a look at the last pyramid. This is the last pyramid, and I believe, out of the main three, this was the last one constructed. It basically started in that direction and worked this way. We'll take a look at this temple. This one, decoration-wise, was pretty boring, but I actually really liked it. See, in this view right here, this was where I decided to put the pillars in, because I love that view where you're just looking straight down, and then all you see are just like white and all the pillars. I think it looks super cool. But let's bring it in here. Very similar temple to the one down there. Like this intersection with how it looks is very, very similar. And if we go into here, pretty basic. I think that takes you out to both sides here. I believe take you out to the pyramid area, like this. And then on the inside of here, I couldn't find what they had in here. I assume it pretty much just takes you into the tomb, would be my guess. But I just blocked that off with kept it look dark. Because at the end of the day, I just wanted this to look good from the outside. From the inside, whatever I could put in, sweet. But I just really wanted it to be stunning from the outside. And then over here, we've just got the last few different little pyramids. A couple of the older style ones over here that didn't have the polished limestone on the outside, so that looks super cool. And the last thing I really just want to look at, guys, just to show you like an up-close view, is going to be my version of the Nile River. Basically, guys, a lot of people imagine Egypt as kind of what that looks like over there, just kind of deserty, but I don't, and some people are obviously aware, other people aren't aware. Everywhere around the Nile had a lot of vegetation because it was fresh water. So that's where, they did have palm trees and, like I said, a lot of wheat, big, long grass and stuff like this. This does have flowers. I really don't know how many flowers they had. But for the sake of Minecraft, it was a lot easier just using bone meal to put down all the vegetation than it was to just try to individually put long grass and whatnot. But yeah, guys, this is going to be my version of the pyramids of Egypt. I think this looks absolutely stunning. 100%, without question, this is the best build I've ever built, especially in the fact that it ended up being basically like 5 times the size when I started, because when I started, it was pretty much just this area, like that you can see, like just the plateau, and then I ended up terraforming everything around here to ensure that it looked as good as possible, pretty much from wherever you were at. With that being said, guys, if you guys like this video, I need you guys to hit the like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. It helps me out tremendously, and it gives me, basically, it helps me to grow, and the more I grow, the more I'll be able to build stuff like this. But if you guys like this video, comment. Tell me how much you guys like this. Tell me what your favorite part is. Tell me how you guys think they built the pyramids. I mean, tell me anything that you want to tell me about this. If you're into Egypt, let me know. Because I'll tell you what, after building this for the last month, I am very into Egypt and all this stuff. They are just absolutely fascinating. But aside from that, yeah, I'm kind of rambling at this point. I can't get over just looking at it, how absolutely perfect it looks in my mind. I just think it's absolutely stunning. There's a couple hiccups that I didn't notice till after, but for the most part, it is damn near perfection, in my opinion. And I'm so happy with it. I'm so thankful for anybody who sat through this video and watched it till the end. Yeah, so with that being said, guys, I just want to thank you guys for watching. Have a good one.